Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Lost Ruins of Arnak, the Adventure Chest, or the Twisted Paths expansion. This is for like a game for some reason I just was not getting to the table. No rhyme or reason, just because I don't know. I got the Adventure Chest in and organized everything, and then I was like, alright, that was that. But this review is going to be, or discussion, oh no, my secret. This discussion is going to be kind of twofold, well, threefold. One, I'm going to be talking about the organization of the Adventure Chest itself, and then the second and third part is going to be talking about the two temples that the Twisted Paths expansion comes with. So the organization of the Adventure Chest, I don't know why companies, for some reason, are like, hey, here's a big box organizer, but figure it out on how it's stored. This was not as bad as the Merchants of the Dark Road, where I felt like I needed to do a video on how to put everything away, but it was also not great. Like, I almost wish at this point companies would not try to design it in-house and just hire someone to make an STL file to 3D print and insert. Or just hire a company to 3D print and insert, because it just feels like no company ever gets it right, really. I mean, Game Trays was kind of the route most companies were going who were really doing an awesome insert. But I don't know, I feel like these big boxes that come in for storage, while nice, are always really weirdly done. I mean, it's a long shot from being the worst insert, but it's not the best. It still feels clunky to find things, and the way that they have you store the player boards and stuff like that, it's just weird. I wasn't like the biggest fan. Yes, it holds everything. It's nice. It's completely full. So I think at this point, this is CGE telling us that they're done with the Lost Ruins of Arnak, or Min and Elwyn are like, hey, no more expansions, because there's really no more room. If they do announce another expansion to this, it's going to be extremely frustrating because it will not really fit. I mean, yeah, more cards would kind of fit unless you sleeve them, but really there's no room for any more temple tracks or anything like that. Even though I really, really like this game, and I would still love to see more temple tracks or more leaders and things like that. But that's the Adventure Chest. Not the best, not the worst, kind of more frustrating on how to put it together. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the Twisted Paths expansion. So this, I mean, mine came in the Adventure Chest. I don't know if it's like a separate box that you can actually buy to get the different tracks. But it comes with the Spider Temple and the Owl Temple. And both are actually quite radically different, as with all the other temples. But this one felt like they were doing a little bit more with the overall board. Because in the other Lost Ruins of Arnak stuff, you had the main board, and that always stayed the same. But you had a temple track overlay, like this one, that you would just unfold and you would place over the base game temple track. And this is where all like the new rules came from. This one came with a new complete board. And this one is kind of actually interesting. A little bit annoying though, because there's now no longer an organized spot to put like resources or the assistants. But overall, like, it comes with whole new campsites and then kind of new rules for the discoverable sites as well. And then the temple tracks themselves. So let's talk about the spider track. The spider track was really cool because what it introduced was locations that allowed you to get these dark tablets. And there was also a track that held dark tablets that kind of went down in decreasing numbers, so increasing negative numbers. Because as you're going above the research track, if you are above a spot that can hold an artifact, you can invoke an artifact. And this allowed you to take an artifact from the row and place it into a spot that you were above. And then you placed a dark dark tablet on that artifact, and you got to use it. This was a really cool system because, one, it really allowed you to use a lot more artifacts instead of having to save up a bunch of compasses, because in Lost Ruins of Arnak, compasses are very valuable. They allow you to discover more sites. They allow you to go up on the research track. They allowed you to use artifacts. But here, there was a shortcut to that, where you could use one of these dark tablets, pop it down, and it also allowed other people to use it as long as their research track was above that artifact. But what was cool about that is it had a double-edged sword, because the more dark tablets that were being used, the more was getting removed from this negative track. So by the end of the game, the rightmost empty space was negative points. That meant every single dark tablet that you used was negative that many points. So for example, if it was like all the way down to a -3, and you used 5 dark tablets, you're getting negative 15 points at the end of the game. I really like this system because there was also an upside to using these artifacts, because whoever used the most got a victory point for whichever whatever victory point was above that artifact space. But I like mechanics that have a double-edged sword to it. The risk reward that you have to, as a player, decide if it's worth it. Is using this artifact, invoking this artifact with a potential negative points, going to benefit me better in the long run? By using this artifact right now, can I get something that might reward me with 10 points for a cost of -3 right now? I really like that decision making. I also like the fact, because at least in my experience of Lost Ruins of Arnak, you're not dumping a lot of artifacts all the time. They're kind of too high cost. What's cool about Lost Ruins of Arnak is the fact that they're an immediate use, and then later on, when they come back through your deck, you have to use a tablet to activate them again. That's always been a cool system. So not only are you looking at, while you're playing, okay, here are all the actions I can do. Lost Ruins of Arnak has always been an amazing deck builder of trying to maximize your efficiency with free actions and stretching out your limited workers, similar to Everdell. But you always have that row of artifacts, that increasing row of artifacts, that it's like, okay, cool, if I can get the compasses, I could use this. This is going to allow me to do this, which then will allow me to do this, and so on and so forth. And the Spider Temple, accentuates that even more, which is awesome. So, and then there are some locations out on the actual main board where you can discover sites that have an extra cost for you to get a dark tablet. And there actually is some kind of more interactive cutthroat nature to that. If you see someone using a bunch of dark tablets, then you might not ever have to invoke some artifacts. You can just start doing actions that have you pull dark tablets into your resource pool, because they work like regular tablets anyway. So you can play the more true blue, strategy. And by the end of the game, now these dark tablets that your opponent has been using, it's actually -4 points each. So, no, they're only getting 2 points for winning that location, but they have 3 tablets there, so that's -12 points. So it has that kind of twist element that other players have to keep track of, because there's not really a good way for you to put them back on the track. Because whenever you're putting them on the temple, they go onto a spot, not back on the negative point track. And you can only invoke so many times. I think it's up to 3. So you can't just really cheese the system. But yes, I think the Spider Temple is an excellent addition. I think now, what is it? There's 2, 4, 6. I think that's 8 temple tracks now in the game, because I think base game had 2. Then there was, I think, a new one came with each of the expansions. On top of the, there's either 8 or 10 new temples. So, which the game has always been about the temples, the research track and stuff. So that's the Spider Temple, which is really cool. Also, the art is amazing. That's one of the best things about this game is its art. Then the other side is the Owl Temple, and This one also kind of does a big twist. So while the spider track really focused on artifacts, the owl temple focuses on idols. Because normally the little research tokens you can get that gave you 2, 5, or 10 points, now they have new research tokens in these broken up pieces that are worth 1, 5, or 10. And as you're moving up the track, it's a little bit more simple of moving up. But there are these broken pieces scattered throughout. And as long as you have a research token there, you can spend whatever it costs to pick it up. And these are, like I said, they're worth points. But when you get any 2 of these, you can snap them together. And I will say these are actually really bad. They do not fit cleanly. You are going to have, at least in my copy, I have to force them. But what they do is they create a whole piece that now idols can go on. And you use these idols to activate your five idol abilities, similar to how you would with your regular board, except now you are not losing victory points for doing this. You're gaining victory points. Like this combination right here would be worth 15 points at the end of the game, and you don't have to sacrifice 1, 2, 3, or 4 victory points at the end. So the more of these you can gain, the more free actions you're going to get, and you're only benefiting from it, which is really, really cool. Not only that, but now the Discover a Site is broken into 3 sections. In all the other boards, so the Spider board and the base game board, all of them only have the 2, which is the level 1 sites that costs 3 compasses to go to, and the level 2 sites that requires the 6. Now it's broken up into 3. You still have your level 1 site and your level 2, but now you have a third level 1 that requires 3 compasses and 2 coins, but now there are 2 idols to go. So while it didn't come with a level 3, discoverable site, where you can kill guardians and stuff, it now gives you more idols. So it really wants you to go out, discover more sites, get a bunch more idols, use free actions, to, do a bunch of combos as you see fit, while also moving up on this track. Now, this is also, they're both pretty straightforward to go into. The temple track now has secret passages that you can move your magnifying glass into. When you move your magnifying glass into a secret passage, it stays there for the rest of the game, and you get a benefit. And then now you have a third research token, which is a lantern that pretty much acts as a magnifying glass. It can go as high as it needs to. Your journal can only go as high as your magnifying glass or your lantern at that point. So, but it starts all the way at the bottom. So if you get your magnifying glass all the way as high as it can possibly go into a secret passage, then and your journal is also halfway up. Your journal is kind of stuck there until your lantern surpasses that. Then your journal can follow. While the secret passages really aren't that interesting, the research track now has 3 bonuses for each row that you go to. So it has the magnifying glass ability, it has the journal ability, and now it has the third lantern ability. And the lantern abilities are actually better. The magnifying glass abilities are very basic, gain a coin, draw a card, things like that. But then the very first lantern spot allows you to activate a campsite. Then it allows you to exile a card and gain a compass. But at the end of the game, you now score again for your combination of research tokens, but you now score for where your magnifying glass is at, where your journal's at, and where your lantern is at. So if you can get your lantern all the way up, and then your journal kind of in the middle, where this is at right now, your lantern would get you 25 points, your magnifying glass here gets you 16, and your journal gets you 9. So it really kind of wants you to focus on trying to get all 3 of those as high as possible. But you then have to kind of start over with your lantern to maximize the best efficient, to get the max efficient points for your magnifying glass. So I mean, between the two, I mean, I really like both of these temples, and as I've been playing them, I was really reminded of how great Lost Ruins of Arnak is. And it's like, for lack of, player getting into the table, wasn't any reason of like, oh, I don't like that game anymore. There's just so many games and so much time to play, but yeah, like, as I was, because I taught it to my girlfriend, and I was like really excited to play it, because I was like, oh, and this is the really cool thing about it, and here's the thematic reason of why this is the way it is, and it's so. And then the first game, I was like, oh, hey, if you're wanting to do this, you could do this and this and this, and that will allow you to do all of that. It's just is such a combo heavy game of really utilizing your workers and the cards. And this is not like a high 80 card deck builder game. You have a very lean deck, but I've always loved the item system of buying an item that goes to the bottom of your deck. I love the artifact popping immediately when you buy it, then it comes back around for you to use again at a cost. I love the fact that there's never a discard pile. All of your played cards get shuffled and put to the bottom of your deck. It just is an insanely exciting game to play. And this Twisted Paths expansion just added 2 more great temples. And I've heard people who really try to minimalize Lost Ruins of Arnak was like, oh, well, all you do is go up on the research track and that's it. And I think that's such a reductive way. You can do that with literally any fucking game and try and just diminish what people like. And I think that's just annoying ass people who are like, oh, I'm not good at the game, so I'll try and just really, really just shit on what people like. I think this is a great design. Now, which of the 2 temples do I like? I mean, they both have their strengths and weaknesses for each of them. One common weakness that I actually find a little strange, and again, I don't know if you can buy the Twisted Paths separate. Maybe it comes with the adventure chest, but I don't. They basically say in the rulebook that it was designed for you to use the leaders. They have these boards in mind for your actual for an expansion that they have, because the leaders were like one of the best expansions this game came with, of unique player powers and kind of unique decks they are starting out with. But they basically come out and say, hey, this was designed for you to play with those. And so it almost incentivizes you, if you're buying this, to then go out and buy another expansion. And I kind of think that's shitty. It really should be designed for people who don't have all the expansions. You can play it. It's not like you're restricted from playing this and it doesn't work without them. But they basically tell you in the rule book, hey, if you don't have those, it's going to be more challenging for you to do well. I just thought that was an odd design decision. And then what was it? There was another thing that they had. And then the other thing was, because this comes with a whole new board, like I said, base game, all the other research tracks, every single one of them besides this one was inlaid on top of the base game board. They basically say, at least they never play tested this board to be used with other research tracks. So I guess maybe they just have it in there as a caveat of like, we didn't play test that. So if you try the Snake Temple with this board, it might be jank. But I guess they're like, hey, experiment at your own leisure. Maybe there's some cool combos. I haven't personally tried them, but basically the Owl and the Snake Temple are designed to kind of go hand in hand with the base board, hence why they are on their own board. And yeah, so it's just a little weird. It does make me kind of wish, though, that they did this with all the other temples. Because I do really like the Snake and Owl, or not Snake, the Spider and Owl temples. because they're a little bit more involved. The temples themselves are kind of no different than the other ones in the rules that they bring forth. But because they have a little bit different campsites and a little bit different dig site locations that are meant to be played with that temple, it makes me really wish that they went and did that with the other ones. You know, this temple here, I wish the gimmick of this one came with its own board that was slightly different, you know, slightly different camp locations, slightly different dig site locations that went with this. And, you know, and same. Yeah, that requires a little bit more design, but kind of like the base game, hey, here's the base game board with the base game temple, flip it over to, you know, the other side of the board. It would have been just really cool if they did this same design with all of the other temples, just to give it that much more variety. So you also don't have to sit here and take a temple overlay and pop it on, or take a temple overlay and pop it onto the new board and see if it works or if it's jank. You would just be like, cool, let's play at the monkey temple, and you just pull out the board and that's what you're on. So that's not a knock on the Twisted Paths expansion. That is more of just kind of like, man, this is such a cool idea of what they did. It makes me wish they did it for all the other ones. But to answer my question on which one do I like between the two, I think I'm going to go with the Spider Temple, because I think it allows... I really love that double-edged sword system of using the artifacts at a cheaper cost, but at the risk of you getting a bunch of negative points at the end. I really like that, and I also love the fact that it allows for you to use a lot more artifacts than normally would. That is just exciting. And the fact that kind of if you're invoking an artifact, you're allowing other people to use that same artifact, so it has almost an indirect level of player interaction. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this expansion. On a scale of 1 to 10 for the adventure chest, I think I'm going to give the expansion a 9. It's so good. It really was exciting to play on both of the new temples, and the system of Lost Ruins of Arnak is exciting and still, you know, one of my favorite deck builders out there, because it just does so many things right, at least so many things that I enjoy. Yeah, there's a weird aspect of, hey, to enjoy the new stuff you need another expansion, but I already have that expansion, so it wasn't that big of a deal. It'd be annoying if I didn't, but then again, I wouldn't really be buying the big box to store everything if I didn't have everything already. And then the storage solution is fine. It works. It's just not the best. I was actually looking to see if anyone had designed a 3D print insert, because I think it would just be done better by someone who does insert design. But it works. It's not like it's nowhere near Merchants of the Dark Road, which is just dog shit insert design. So yeah, like, it's fine. Not my favorite, but can't really knock it. And then yeah, the new boards are just awesome. So that's it, everyone. That's my thoughts on the adventure chest and the new expansion for Lost Ruins of Arnak. Let me know what you think of them in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.